Hello and welcome to this 2022 review style video. So I'm going to be looking at mostly books and reading, but a little bit about my channel towards the end as well. So if you're interested in any of that, then do stay tuned. I'm going to start off by going onto my Storygraph account and having a look at the yearly statistics that they produce and sharing any of those with you that I think are particularly interesting. So in 2022 I read 144 books, which spanned across 57,232 pages. So that equates to around about 157 pages a day, which is quite a lot. Although pages wise, I don't know whether it's even really worth keeping an eye on that because I read basically everything via audio. I will have a look through my list of read books in a moment and see if I can figure out how many of these I actually read physically, because it won't be very many. The first book of the year that I read was Blaze Wrath Games, which I liked but didn't love, and the last book I read was A Spindle Splintered, which I quite enjoyed. Not a new favourite, but definitely a fun read. The genres that I spent the most time with were shock horror, fantasy, of which there were 86 books. They've also got young adult as a genre, which I just don't believe that that's a genre, but oh well. Ditto with LGBTQIA+, I don't think that's a genre, but romance and contemporary are also on that list of like top 5 genres for me. The longest book I read was The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb at 906 pages, and the shortest was 32 pages, and it was The Red Tree by Sean Tan, which is a picture book, although it's a picture book intended for adults, I think. The average length of book that I read was 395 pages apparently, and it took me around 3 days to finish each book according to the Storygraph. The quickest that I read a book was Evershaw by Brandon Sanderson and Jancy Patterson, which took me 1 day, but there were quite a few books that I read in 1 day this year or last year, so I don't know why it's picked that one. The longest time spent reading a book, it says, was The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson, which took 24 days, but I'm pretty sure I just forgot to mark that one as finished and couldn't remember when I had finished it, so I just left it, and it's a reread anyway. The authors I spent the most time with, to no one's surprise, Brandon Sanderson, of course. I read 15 of his books. Shannon Messenger I read 10, again no big surprise there, and then after that is R.F. Kuang at 4, because I went ahead and finished the Poppy War trilogy in December, and I also read Babel in 2022. And I haven't done any wrap-ups recently. I just want to address that while we're on the subject of things that I read in December. I'm going to pick back up with wrap-ups again, I think, in 2023. I'm going to just leave 2022 where it is. I know I'm doing a few kind of videos around this time that are reviewing things and reviewing the year, but in general, I am putting 2022 behind me on this channel, and I am moving forward and starting fresh. So I'm not going to go back and do any wrap-ups for last year now. This is it. We're moving on. There's a bit about star ratings. I don't rate books anymore, so anything that's on there for that is just from previous ratings for books that I've reread. I apparently explored the works of 65 new authors, which seems like a lot, and 91 of the books that I read were part of a series, and I reread 21 books, which is almost a shame that I didn't make that 22 so that I could say that I'd reread 22 books in 2022, but oh well. I DNF'd 8, which is massive for me. That never happens. Let me just quickly tell you which ones I DNF'd. So I DNF'd Red Rising for the 2nd time, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Tokyo Ever After, Not Good for Maidens, My Fine Fellow, Age of Ash, Earthlings, and the Final Girl support group. So if you know me, you know that DNFing is something that I haven't historically done, but I am getting better at it, clearly. 8 is a lot for me. Personally, I know not for the average person, but for me. Apparently 107 of the books that I read were from my own shelves, but I have actually done some statistics myself that I want to take you through. But let me just look at this graphic with all of the books that I have read this year on and see which ones I read just with my eyeballs. 7. So 7 books this year I read purely physically. The other 137 books were read on audio. And of those 7, 6 of them were actually graphic novels or manga or that kind of thing. And 1 was a novel in verse. So you can see where my preference lies. As for the statistics that I calculated myself, I wanted to do a little bit of comparison with the previous year, so 2022 against 2021. So again, I read a total of 144 books. In 2021, I actually read 160 books, so I've read a little bit less in this past year. 35 of the books that I read in 2022 were not from my physical TBR, which actually isn't that bad. I thought that it was a lot worse than that, to be honest. As I already mentioned, 21 of my reads were rereads. I managed to finish 14 series. I'm not going to cover those here because I'm going to do a series update video. I'm pretty happy with having finished 14 series. That particular statistic is a lot better than I thought. So, you know, I'm not doing so bad here. 10 series I have started in 2022 with the intention of continuing, and 53 of my 144 books were standalones, so not series that I need to continue or was continuing in. These are the statistics I'm most interested to compare with 2021 though. So in 2022 I read 78 adult novels and 57 I read in the previous year. So bear in mind that in 2021 I read more than I read in 22, but I read like considerably more adult in 22 than I did in 21. In 22 it was 78, in 21 it was 57. And then that is directly taken out of the YA books, because in 21 I read 83 YA books, but in 22 I only read 45, so nearly half what I had read the previous year. And I read around about the same amount of middle grade. In 21 I read 19 and in 22 I read 20. So middle grade hasn't really changed, but YA and adult have really swapped, and I definitely feel like that is consistent with how I was feeling about reading in the past 12 months. I have mentioned on this channel before that I feel like YA and I are not really getting on at the moment, and the YA that I am actually drawn to is more Eastern inspired YA. Western inspired YA is getting a little bit tiresome for me. I think I've just read a little bit too much of it over the last few years, so that it's all becoming a little bit samey to me at the moment. And it's not the writing, it is the stories. I do not mind whatever level of writing I read. Clearly, I read across all age ranges, so the writing isn't really the thing for me. It's more so the stories, it's more so the plots. And I'm not a plot-driven reader, I'm a character-driven reader, and I can still very much enjoy YA characters. Even in adult books, I enjoy YA age characters, but there's something just about the plot lines, particularly, as I said, in Western YA stories, that I'm not finding particularly unique, and I'm getting a bit bored reading the same kinds of plot beats over and over again. So I've kind of strayed away, as you can tell, from YA in recent months, and I'm focusing more on adult books, which is something that I'm going to be focusing on in 2023 as well, but I will talk to you more about my 2023 goals in a separate video. In terms of my channel, I definitely have not been as on the ball with my channel this past 12 months as I had been previously. I had a not the best mental health year, to be perfectly honest, in 2022, and things are getting better. Things started to get better towards the end of the year. I'm hoping I'm going to carry that through into this fresh new year, and you know, I'm setting routines and things in place for myself that is hopefully going to help with that. And one thing that I really want to do is I really want to get back to making more content and loving my channel again. So I'm going to try, if I can, to figure out how many videos I posted in 2022 by comparison to 2021, because I have a feeling that it is going to be significantly less, but I don't actually know the figures. So let's see. Okay, so it's telling me that in 2022, or actually in the last 365 days, but at the point of filming this, I haven't posted anything in 2023 yet. So we're missing a couple of days from the beginning of 2022, but near enough. 61 videos and 3 live streams, so 64. Let's say 65, just to take into account the 5 days in 2022 that are missing from this, because I probably posted at least once. So that's the last 365 days. I don't think it's going to let me, actually, it's going to let me look at lifetime before that. That's not very helpful though, is it? Well, in the lifetime of my channel, I have posted, let me do the maths here, 522 videos. So 522 minus 65 means that prior to roughly 2020 I had posted 457 videos, and I have been posting videos since the 5th of October 2018, so essentially 3 and a bit years. So let's just, I mean, I know this isn't quite exact, but let's just do 457 divided by 3, roughly how many I was posting a year. So previously to 2022, I was roughly on average posting about 150 videos a year. Last year, I posted less, way less than half that. So clearly, my channel has kind of declined in terms of the amount of content I'm posting, and that's definitely for personal reasons, some of which I've discussed on this channel before. So that's something that I definitely want to work on. I'm not really going to be setting any channel specific goals, so I'm not going to mention that in my goals video, so I guess I'll just say here that I would ideally like to post at least once a week, and I haven't even been consistent with that in the last 6 or so months, so I'd like to at least be posting once a week. Ideally, I'd like to post twice a week, and if I could somehow get back to the 3 a week that I used to do, that would be amazing. I'm not convinced that that's going to happen. A lot of all of this has been creative burnout and difficulty with coming up with ideas, but also sometimes I will just have a bank of ideas and they're time specific, right? So I want to make them right away and post them right away, but then I'm just thinking, well, I haven't posted for weeks, so what's the point now? I'm posting 6 videos in a row, but stuff it, I'm going to. So as of right now, this is the 2nd video that I'm filming this afternoon, and I'm going to film quite a few videos this afternoon, and I'm going to just post them. I'm going to schedule them all, and then the next time I have a bank of ideas, I will film again. So hopefully what will happen is that I will have enough content, ideas and filmed to post so that I'm at least having 1 video a week, and if I can have more than that, then I will. So maybe what I'll do is, with this bank of videos that I'm doing now, which I'm planning on doing, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm planning on doing 9. So I can essentially post 2 a week for the whole of January and 1 extra one. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and just film a load of stuff maybe once a month and edit it as I go. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that will change. I don't really know, but I think that is where I'm at with reviewing 2022. After this, I don't want to think about it anymore. I don't want to go down the road of over-analysing 2022. I am going to do a favourites of 2022, favourite reads, so you can stay tuned for that. I also did a video with Joanna, which she will be posting on her channel at some point in the near future, where we discussed what our favourite would be if we used the book bracket method. So I'm not using that for my personal favourites, but if you're interested in that, keep an eye out on Joanna's channel because that will be coming. And I think that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.